So things are new. Things have changed. So first of all, scheduled, banned, and suspended announcement. Hey, how's it going? I should probably start with an intro because people love cold opens. No, I don't do cold opens. I'm sorry, that's not a thing that I do. Cold opens are cool, I guess, for certain people, but I'm just not a cold open kind of guy. Let's talk. Scheduled, banned, and suspended announcement. Now look, no changes to the classic constructed metagame. Why? Well, because we don't need changes to the classic constructed metagame. Wow, isn't that that's some like tall stuff right there. First of all, also, this was written by Legend Story Studios, but I don't know. I think there's a one wild Brian Gottlieb who might have written this. I don't know. It reads like Brian Gottlieb wrote this. Nevertheless, whoever wrote it, I think hit the nail on the head. I don't think anything is necessary to be changed in the classic constructed metagame. At me about codex of all of them, I don't care. I think all of the cards, the way that we're sitting, the way this metagame panned out, was so far and away better than literally everyone expected that to make giant changes and sweeping changes in this meta just does not seem wise, prudent, or necessary. So classic construction not being touched at all whatsoever, totally good. Totally good. I mean, look, if you didn't hear, by the way, this actually happened while we were on air on, like, I think it was the 2-hour marathon game of Oldham versus Dromai. I think it was that Pro Tour game where we actually got news that the calling had wrapped up and a Dash player ended up just destroying the field. Actually, I can't say that. I don't know if they actually destroyed the field. We didn't actually get to see if the games were like close or, you know, that sort of stuff. But nevertheless, Dash picked up the win in the calling, which is crazy cool because there was no Dash in the Pro Tour top 8. There was a Viserai in the top 8, one Zach Bunn. That's pretty sick. That's pretty cool. There was even, and look, this is kind of crazy, there was even Riptide, aggro Riptide at the top tables, didn't make the cut into top 8, made it into top 16 from what I heard. Aggro Riptide in the calling. And then you look at the way that the Pro Tour broke down. It's like, I mean, Dromai, there was Lexi, there was Oldham, and then Dromai's ate the Lexis, and then Oldham ate the Dromais, and you know, Lexis were eating the Oldhams as well. All of this to say is like, yes, no changes, but okay, this is why we're here. First of all, these 3 cards make total sense because Oldham, Icelander, and then of course their accompanying weapons are now officially living legended out. They are gone as of Friday. And so with their rotation come these cards back to being legal. Now, can you play Aether Ice Vein in any deck right now? No. No, you can't. Can you play Crown of Seeds in any deck right now? No. You technically that's not true. Actually, yes, you can. You can play Crown of Seeds in Briar right now. You could totally play Briar. Hypothermia, can you play that in any deck right now? You could play it in Lexi. You could play that in Ice Lexi. Is a thing you can do. Aether Ice Vein, though, is currently locked because it was an Ice Wizard card. So, but it is technically legal. It's just that we don't have a hero that can fit it into. And then we come to Drone of Brutality. And my mind went... And here's why. Okay, look. I received a message on my phone mere minutes, I believe, before I was supposed to go on stage and conduct a performance of Carmen, if you don't know it. Carmen, if you know. All right, so I was literally gonna walk onto the stage with the ensemble and they perform. And then I got this text and I was like, okay, stop. I know this is not true. It said these things. I said, look, this is ridiculous. This card is never coming off the ban list. Why in the world ever would it? And then I realized it was true. And then I actually started thinking about this. And then I got incredibly hyped because this is such a brilliant move that makes total sense when you read exactly why they decided to go for this. Drone of Brutality was the first card to ever be banned in Flesh and Blood on March 18th, 2021. A lot has changed in 2 years. And this right here After thinking about it and processing the insanity of bringing Drone of Brutality back, I realized a lot has changed since it actually rotated out. It does break a core design tenet of Flesh and Blood that every card counts, but you know what also has been breaking that? A variety of cards, including, in my opinion, Crown of Seeds. It literally puts the game on a completely different axis for, just Oldhim in general, I would say. And yet it lives. And that made me think. It's not the only card that does this. It's just a fantastic example that is literally on the screen that I can highlight, because highlighting is fun. It's not the only one that does that, but it does push the game into a completely different kind of axis. And Drone sort of does the exact same thing. But between 2021 and now, the general power level of Blitz has increased to a point that we believe the way Drone breaks this design tenet is likely no longer problematic. And honestly, I was thinking about this on the drive home, and I kind of agree with that in a deep sense, like deeply. Like, if you're looking at the Blitz format, it is so fast, it is over in so few turns. Pitching to the second cycle is most likely non-existent in a variety of matchups, and a card like Drone actually could help achieve pitching to a second cycle. Not in the sense that you can just use it for pure blocking value, but in the sense that it encourages people to possibly build more, I don't want to call them fatigue decks, but really mid-range, like they talk about here on the rest of this. Mid-range type decks, and things that are more value-driven than before. Because right now, we don't necessarily have that in the Blitz format. But I will say this, if anyone's still poo-pooing Blitz, I think you're just patently wrong at this point. And I'm sorry to say, and if that hurts your feelings, kind of move on and maybe get over it a little bit. Because here's the thing about Blitz. It's actually in a really good spot right now, in part because of the bans and the rotations that they've been doing. It's in a really good spot. And honestly, it was in a really good spot prior as well, even though Oldhim and Icelander were basically dominant. But now I think it's also just continuing from strength to strength in a really good spot. And this move, with Blitz being the way it is currently and historically, has the capacity to shift things around a little bit. It also has the capacity to introduce archetypes like that we haven't seen since the card existed, like Control Katsu might be something interesting to look at. This card is a value proposition now to be played in Azuri, which is really interesting. And in general, this provides you some ability to play for a late game that you never did before. And that's why I like it. Is it actually going to pan out? It could actually completely not pan out at all. But the fact that it's something you can explore is crazy. And what this does too, first of all, I like this. Returning Drone to the format is a nod to what hopefully becomes a new iteration of mid-range and control decks by incentivizing long game strategies. Yeah, see, they exactly say what I was thinking. So because you have the capability of playing to that, you're incentivized to build that deck and then go jam it out. Yeah, they said it exactly. Bingo. Now, the interesting thing is this. It's not only pointing to a possible play line in this. What this also says is LSS is totally open to bringing back the most broken and degenerate cards and giving them fresh life if the meta is healthy for it. And they say right here, looking at this, we will be keeping a close eye on the impact of Drone of Brutality and preface this unbanning with a cautionary message that Drone has the potential to return to the ban list again in the future. But until then, we look forward to seeing it played again and again and again and again. This, make no mistake, this card is quite good. And in fact, I'll say this: if you saw any of the live blog coverage, one James White entered the UPF tournament and played a UPF game in which he played the Adjudicator hero, which name I blanked on. Why am I blanking on the name of the adjudicator, the Draconic adjudicator? Put it in the comments below. Sound off in the comments below with the name of the Draconic adjudicator here, because I can't remember it off the top of my head. For some reason, all I'm thinking about is Tomultai, because I love Tomultai and dragons just float around in my brain. Nevertheless, he played for a fatigue and life gain strategy that ended with 4 drones. So he could sculpt a hand of 4 drones of brutality, and I believe it was 2 blues, 2 reds. At which point, his end game strategy is to get your opponent to basic fatigue, and if they don't have drones, they're going to lose, because you can eventually expect them to not be able to swing for lethal, and then you can take damage, and then you can drone lock them. The crazy thing about that is that the people at the table, I don't think actually realized it was going to happen. And I'll tell you right now, the people standing around did not realize it was happening, because as I looked to my sides, no one had the stupid smile that I had watching it all play out, because I'm watching him just full block and heal with drones, and I was like, do y'all know what's coming? Y'all know... Okay, maybe no one's played with this card yet. See, that's the thing about Drone of Brutality, is the inevitability of the long game. And if you've never played with it, I highly recommend you grab a Drone of Brutality or 2, slap them into a deck, and try to play for the end game. Because it really does change the complexion of how your game is going to close things out. And if your opponents aren't expecting it, or if they don't, prep for it, or don't have a game plan to finish the game beforehand, well, it changes everything. Yeah, the card is still good, and James almost pulled out a just easy win in the face of everyone around him saying he was dead. And they tied. I believe they tied because they locked each other in an infinite drone loop. Sound off in the comments below if you want me to explain an infinite drone loop and how that worked, but it was quite crazy. Now, I think this is a cool change. It really says that they are unafraid to take things off of the ban list and to try it in the right format. I think that's great. This is stupid. I hate it. I can't believe that they would. No, it makes sense. I understand why Go Bananas is banned, but in official events, and in fact, I totally get it, because the issue of Go Bananas and like actually finding the things is that it can take a long time. And this is exactly what they said. I didn't actually read this part, but this was my thought as to why they banned it, and I'm not surprised at all, because I have actually taken Go Bananas out of my UPF decks on the times where I don't want the game to go long. And in fact, I considered the possibility of running Go Bananas in the UPF deck that I played on Shuffle Up and Play, and instead I decided to just err on the side of caution, because it could just take a while. But if you're playing for fun, literally jam this out there, and we would literally just open until you finish the box, like for your friends, like you and your friends, or you could just like take like 1 pack or 3 packs, something like that. Yeah, they recommend they have some good recommendations. But that's pretty hilarious that they put that in there. And these changes are kind of cool. Now these ones, of course, these will be playable, like Hypothermia you can play, and Crown of Seeds you can play in Briar, and then Aether Ice Fane you can jam out whenever we get a new hero. But that's the announcement. I want to know what you think in a comment below. Let me know how you feel about it, and if you enjoy short videos where I'd ramble on, make numbers go slightly higher, because that number went up a lot in the past 24 hours. As always, thanks for watching.